Welcome to the Refurbishment Mastery podcast with me, Martin Rapley. If you're a property investor who is worried about paying too much for your next property, concerned that you don't know how to manage a refurb, or scared that you will be ripped off by a builder, then this is for you. In this podcast, I share over 30 years of experience of managing refurbishments and conversions to help you make more profit, save your time, and ultimately enjoy the process. On with the podcast. Did you know that there are two different kinds of schedule of works that you're going to need for your projects? Now, I've met a lot of property investors over the years that didn't realise that when they were being asked for a schedule of works or when they needed to compile a schedule of works, that the same phrase was used in two different contexts. So in this episode, I'm going to explain those two different schedules of works that you're going to need to put together, explain why they're different, and importantly, explain when you need each version. Now, the first one you're going to be asked for, and it will always be this way round, the first one you're going to be asked for is likely to be from your lender or from your broker on behalf of your lender. And they want a schedule of works that is just headline information, headline details about the works that you're going to carry out on your potential project. So we're still talking about a stage perhaps where you haven't even purchased the project, where you are just passing on headline information. Normally, they will expect some kind of budget against those headline details, but they will expect those budgets to be round numbers to the nearest £100 or probably even to the nearest £1,000. So these are headline details. Build 2 en suites, rewire the house, replace the kitchen. Those headline details with some figures against them. And based upon those budget figures, your broker, your lender will come back to you with an offer to lend to allow you perhaps to buy the property or perhaps commence the refurbishment works in one way or another. So the key thing is we don't need to put any real detail in at this point. So this is not dissimilar from the budget that you will already have done to establish how much you might offer for the property in the first place, or to be able to understand how you can add value and how the deal stacks up as you know in its totality. So that's the first schedule of works you're going to be asked to produce. Now, the second schedule of works that you need to produce is the one that is going to be sent to your builders. It's the document that they're going to price to allow you to get quotations from one or indeed many builders. And if you're going to many builders, it means that all of the builders are looking at exactly the same document. And as a result, you can be reasonably certain that they've understood the project in the same way, and therefore their prices are comparable. Now, those schedules of work have got much, much more detail into them. For a start, they don't have any numbers on them. They don't have any values on them because we're asking the builders to put in their own costings. And of course, most builders will cost not to round thousands or probably even round hundreds, but to a lot more detail. They won't necessarily get to pence, but they will certainly put more detail into a lot of the prices. And this schedule of works needs to have loads more detailing. This is the document that ultimately is going to explain to builders what you want and ultimately allows the builders to deliver what you want for your property. So if you were going to write the best schedule of works ever in the world, then you would get to a point where you could give this document to the builders. The builders could price it. You could appoint a builder They could then build the whole project out, and without having a single conversation with you, they will have delivered the project exactly as you envisaged it in the first place. Now, let me put your mind at rest. You are never going to write a schedule of works that good. I can't write a schedule of works that good. I've got a lot of experience. I can write a lot of good schedules of works, but it's really, really hard, if not impossible, to get to a point where you can pick up absolutely everything. And of course, even when we're doing refurbishments, once we start the work, there's always a chance that other things come along anyway that we just couldn't have foreseen at the start. But the best schedule of works have got a lot of detail in them. They've got details so that the builder doesn't have to keep asking questions, so that there is no misunderstanding about what they've priced for. There is certainty that they are going to deliver what we want them to deliver. And ultimately, because it's our property and it's us that are going to benefit from it going forward, either because we're going to sell it and hopefully we're going to sell it at a profit, or we're going to rent the property out and we know exactly who's going to live in the property and what they expect and what they demand. And so we've delivered that, and we've got clarity as to what that is, and our builders have delivered that. Or indeed, we might have serviced accommodation guests that have got different requirements depending on the market that you're working in there. Workers requiring different things from, say, holiday makers. So you need to put that information into your schedule of work. You can't leave that information for the builder to make a decision on, because ultimately, if you get it wrong, or if the builder gets it wrong, it's you that suffers. It's you that doesn't have quite such a good nightly rate. It's you that's got the poor reviews. It's you that's not been able to refinance your property at such a high value because it's just not valued up there because you haven't delivered the right thing. So ultimately, the responsibility for this second schedule of works is absolutely with you. The first one you may be able to outsource to some extent, but the second one absolutely is with you. Even if you outsource someone else to write it for you, you still need to steer them as to where to take that document. Let's jumping in to make sure that you have everything you need. Now, in a number of these podcasts, you would have heard me talk about my community, and I want to ensure that you know how you can join that community. Obviously, within these podcasts, there's a limit to the detail I can go into the recording, and of course, a lot of things are very generic. So what if you had access to join me on a Zoom call for 90 minutes every single week in a group coaching environment? You could get your questions answered whenever they come up and learn from other members' questions. Plus, you also get 10 hours of training videos, an HMO refurbishment case study, some sample documents and checklists that will help you run your projects far more effectively. Membership of my community is just £89 a month. You get the first month free, and you can also cancel anytime after that. Plus, as a listener of this podcast, there's a promo code to help you save £20 every single month that you remain a member. So just make a note of VIP discount 20, VIP discount 20, all in capital letters, and put that into the checkout. You'll find the checkout on my website, www.refurbishmentmastery.com. Scroll down the page, you'll find the link for the Project Management Accelerator. Use the promo code VIP discount 20 and you'll be signed up at just £69 a month. I look forward to seeing you in that community very, very soon. Now back to the podcast. Now, this is going to go into a lot more detail. So it's not going to say build 2 en suites. It's going to possibly explain where the en suites go. Maybe it's going to refer to a drawing that you've had done by an architect showing where the en suites go. but it's going to explain what goes inside the ensuites. Which shower fitting do we want? Do we want the corner one? Do we want the square one? Do we want the rectangular one? Do we want sliding doors? Do we want bifold doors? Do we want a hinge door? Lots of different options just on the shower cubicle. What kind of shower do we need? Is it going to be plumbed in through the hot water system? Is it an electric shower? Which make and model do we want? Do we want a head on it that's just got two or three different settings, or do we want one that's got lots of different settings and brings the water down in different formats? What do we want for our basin? Do we want a wall mounted basin with a single tap? Do we want that tap off center in a different style of basin? Do we want the basin sitting on a cabinet? Do we want cabinets with drawers, cabinets with a cupboard? Lots of different options there. What kind of toilet do we want? Do we want a toilet that's built into some boxing, or is it a more traditional one that sits in front of the wall? And then how are we finishing off the ensuite? Are we going to tile the walls? Are we going to use shower boards? What style of shower boards do we want to use? What else are we going to put in there? Do we want mirrors in there? What do we want in way of lighting? How are we going to paint the walls? Do we want colors in there or anything else like that? What are we going to put on the floor? Is it going to be vinyl? Is it going to be ceramic or porcelain tile? Are we having a towel rail in there? Are we having a funky type towel rail in there, or a fairly modern type, a traditional type towel rail? It's up to you to make all of the decisions. All of those items I've just gone through, all relate just to your ensuite. So beyond the ensuite, you've got to think about all of those other things in the kitchen. You might have a layout from a kitchen supplier, and you might have chosen the doors, the and where you want the drawers and cupboards and things like that. And the kitchen supplier may well have done all of that for you. But again, there's tiling needed. There's different appliances we might put in there. Do we want a 4 burner stove? Do we want a 5 or 6 burner stove? Do we want it to be an electric stove, or do we want it to be a gas stove? Are we putting in other integrated appliances, washing machines, fridge freezers, tumble dryers, dishwashers, things like that? Or are we just leaving space for those? What other fixtures and fittings do we need in our kitchen? So this is all up for you to add into your schedule of works to ensure that nothing really is uncertain, and importantly, to ensure that you get delivered the quality of project that you actually need. Now, if you look at the room that you're sitting in at the moment, assuming you're not out and about, but if you're listening to this podcast whilst you're in a room, have a look around that room and look at all of the things where there is some kind of choice. So you'll probably see that you probably see the door for a start. There's lots of different types of door that we can select for our projects. You might notice the skirting board, lots of different profiles and sizes of skirting boards. You might see the radiator and realize there's lots of different styles there. We've got paint colors. And then I've already talked about kitchens and bathrooms, and going into other rooms, there could be cabinets that we need. We might be building in some wardrobes for a bedroom. We might be building in some desk working space in student bedrooms and things like that. So you need to think about and specify all of those items. So this all goes into the schedule of works that your builders will price. You don't need that detail in the information that goes to your broker and your lender. They just need to know the headline figures. But when you get to a point of wanting to get prices, and when you're working with builders, they need a lot more detail. Now, you may well take that headline figure, that headline document that you've given to your broker or lender, and build that out with a lot more detail in. So often the one will morph into the second one. So there's no harm in, it's not as though you're wasting your time with the first one. The first one is an excellent thing to be doing, and it obviously ultimately ensures that you've got finance for your project, but build that out and add some more meat to it to make sure it's good enough for your builders to price against and actually then build against. Now, if you've arranged finance that includes drawdown finance as the refurbishment works proceed, then your lender will then ask for this second schedule of works as well. But they won't ask for that until the project is much, much closer to commencement, normally only a few weeks before commencement. And realistically, we would hope that the figures that are in that document tie up fairly closely with the figures that you had in your first document. Don't worry if they're not the same. The key figure that really wants to be pretty close is the bottom line number. So if the bottom line number is pretty much the same, you shouldn't have any real difficulties. If the bottom line number is vastly more, then you could have some difficulties. That's definitely something to talk to your broker about. And if it's way less, then happy days. We're potentially going to make a little bit more profit than we expected in the first place. So although there's two schedules, your broker may have to have both of them, but not at the same time. Your builders will only ever have the second one. So really, really important that you don't mix these up. The lender's one in the first place, very, very simple, very much headline details, headline descriptions, headline numbers. The builders need the detail. The more detail you can get into that schedule of works, the more chance you've got of getting accurate prices from your builders, the more chance you've got of having your project delivered without the builder asking you 1,000 questions. And if the builder's not asking you 1,000 questions, they're going to be happier. You're going to be happier. The builder's going to get on and build quicker, which makes us happy. You're going to be able to go off and do something else with your time. Run another business. Go and find another deal. Go on holiday. Sit on the beach. Take the family away. Whatever you want to do. So ultimately, that second schedule of works is really, really important. And it's definitely the document that you want to spend some time preparing. The first one you do will take you a long time. Once you get into it, you'll find that subsequent ones, you will cut and paste huge amounts of it, and it won't take you anywhere near as long. But the first one will take time. Take the time, get it right. You'll get better prices from the builders, as I said. You'll get a lot less questions, and generally you will enjoy the whole process that bit more. So hopefully that's just clarified where and why there are two different schedules of works. Make sure you use the right ones at the right time. And I look forward to catching up with you on another podcast very, very soon.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. Please do like, share, and leave a comment where you can. If you need any guidance or advice with anything to do with your refurbishments or conversions, then don't hesitate to reach out. You can book a free call with me by clicking on the link at the top of my website, refurbishmentmastery.com. There's other ways you can contact me in the show notes as well. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.